Hey Ethan, this is Mrs. Skogland. Just wanted to give you a little bit of feedback on your summer assignment. So we're mostly going to be talking about chapter 1 since that was the question that you had starred, but I'll kind of reference some other parts of your project as we go through the video as well. All right, so the first thing that I look for in a body paragraph, which is what this structure is a topic sentence. And ideally, we want that to answer the question that was provided in just a sentence, and that way then you can get to kind of the rest of the paragraph. I think you are doing an awesome job writing topic sentences, Ethan. So like this one in particular, you tell me exactly what would happen if we didn't have both halves, which I really like. But then you do tell me what each half contributes. Like this was so good, literally when I read it out loud, I was like, wow, that was a great topic sentence, so keep that up. Next, I look actually at the end of your paragraph for what's called a concluding sentence. And again, we want this to actually tie back to the question to kind of signal to the reader that, we're wrapping everything up, paragraph is over. And I think, again, you do a nice job here of sort of summarizing not only what was in the paragraph, but why it's important. So I really liked that about your concluding sentences as well. All right, next I looked at evidence, and I think you're doing a nice job selecting evidence, Ethan. Like I like how in this particular paragraph, the first one you gave an example of how the hemispheres work together, and then this one you sort of talk more about the purpose. The only issue I have here is the way you're embedding or like how you're integrating the evidence. So for example, both of these actually are, the quote is just a sentence on its own, right? And because this is your writing, we actually want you to kind of introduce the quote, even if it's something as simple as, pink gives the example of how your left hemisphere, or whatever it is. But we just don't ever want a quote hanging out on its own. So that would be something that would be good to go back and revise. Okay, next I looked at commentary. I think that you had some great moments with commentary, Ethan. So like, for example, I like how you talk about sort of what each part of the brain does here, which is kind of going back more, I think, to this quote. The issue that I have with your commentary is that you, in most of your paragraphs, go from quote to quote, and both of these different quotes deserve and get their own piece of commentary. So you'll notice I've kind of marked it's missing there. So that would be a good revision to make, would be going back and in between these quotes, giving me that analysis. And that way they don't seem too meshed together, but getting that in so that I really understand why each quote answers the question or the prompt provided. All right, lastly, I looked at conventions and citations. And for your conventions, I think like obviously you're doing a good job proofreading, like capitalization, punctuation's not really an issue. I would just encourage you to watch out for personal pronouns like our. It's just going to be a little bit too informal for academic writing. So even just saying one side of the brain or people's brains or something would help elevate that. Also, in-text citations do need some work. You have the pink and the page number right, but with the punctuation, Ethan, we actually want the period to go at the end of the citation, not at the beginning. So just like kind of be careful there with those citations. All right, I thought your R-directed activities looked good as well. And I really liked this one that was on chapter 5 with story, because I think you actually picked an example of when story wasn't used very well. And I thought it was interesting that you said, like, it got so technical that it really needed that better narrating and better story to be more enjoyable. So good connection there. Anyway, just wanted to give you some feedback.